morning. I'm going to present the Secretary and then react to his announcement, and then we'll hear from the Congressman, and then we'll be glad to take any questions you might have, and Secretary Moniz will acknowledge the presence of the lab directors, who we're all glad to have them here, and others of you as well. In 2004, Senator Jeff Bingaman came to me and said, you need to go to Yokohama and see the Earth simulator, which was then said to be the world's fastest computer. So I dutifully, as a junior senator, did, and flew all the way over to Japan and looked at it. It didn't look too much different than other computers, but the result of that was he and I worked together in 2004 with other members of Congress to initiate for a new initiative on supercomputing for the United States. We thought it was important that the United States lead the world in supercomputing. President Obama's administration has made that a top priority. Both Secretary Chu and Secretary Moniz has. The Congress has responded over the last 6 years. We've doubled funding for supercomputing. And so the United States caught up with Japan, and then China caught up with the United States. And maybe Secretary Moniz will have something to say about that today. But we're delighted to have the United States Secretary of Energy, Ernie Moniz.
Well, thank you, Senator Alexander. Senator Alexander, as you know, has been a great champion, first of all, for science and the infrastructure that we need to do science in this country. And a big part of that is, of course, support for the national labs system, and he remains a great champion and a great friend of what we are trying to accomplish. I also want to acknowledge our friends from the other side of Capitol Hill, Chuck Fleischman and Bill Foster. We may be having Congressman Lipinski here as well, if he can get his schedule aligned. And let me say again, great champions of science and of our national lab systems and what they do. One of them, I'll let you guess, may even have worked in one of the laboratories. Just a guess.
Read the title.
That's right. And also, I have to say that this also demonstrates directly that the kind of support that Senator Alexander mentioned, and all three of them represent, is also a bipartisan issue. This is not about a party. This is really about strengthening the scientific enterprise in the United States, for which DOE is really part of the backbone, and part of that backbone comes because of the tools we provide the community, the whole community, whether it is synchrotron light sources or neutron scattering or supercomputers and high-performance computing. So we are serving 30,000 scientists roughly across the country every year with this array of tools. So today we're going to announce two new awards that really ensure the United States retains global leadership in supercomputing. I want to emphasize, and Senator Alexander correctly gave the story about Japan, China, the United States, etc. And today we will be talking about reaching a new level of computational speed and how that applies. But I do want to emphasize leadership is not only about the speed of the computer. It's how one matches that, integrates that with algorithms, software, etc. And I would say that, at least in my view, this country has by far the deepest experience in this whole array of linked technologies, and we will sustain that leadership. And what I'll be talking about today is very much part of that whole big picture. Although speed is something to talk about, and we will certainly focus on that. So these awards will put us on a fast track to reaching computing capabilities about 5 to 7 times faster than today's leading supercomputers, and lay the groundwork for the next step, 20 to 40 times what we're talking about today. You know, when I was, I'm not a rookie here at the Department of Energy. When I was here the first time in the 90s, that was a time when, driven by the fundamental change in how the department stewards the nuclear weapon stockpile, where we had to go completely to a science-based approach. A big part of that was focusing on a next generation 100 teraflops of speed, so that we could maintain the stockpile without ever resorting again to underground testing. That has been an enormous success now over 2 decades, more than 2 decades, and we hit that goal in the middle of the last decade, around 2005. That 100 teraflops was achieved. In the last decade, we've gone another 2 orders of magnitude. We're now in the, let's say, 20 petaflop arena. Another big thing to recognize in this evolution from the 90s to today. In the 90s, as I said, it was really driven by the weapons program. But then at the same time, in the late 90s, we made a strategic decision that we were going to get that integrated directly into our science and energy programs, also at a new level. And today, as you will see, what we're talking about, and I will point out General Klotz, head of NNSA, Mike Notek, our Deputy Undersecretary for Energy and Science. They're both here because this is a complete science and nuclear security partnership. So the investment is through a program called Fast Forward 2, working with American companies to develop critical technologies needed to deliver these affordable and energy efficient, advanced, extreme scale computing R&D in the next decade. Actually, I should go back and talk first about the first part of the announcement. Excuse me, I was jumping ahead already. Today, what we're talking about is investing $325 million to build 2 state-of-the-art supercomputers at Oak Ridge and Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories. I said a science lab and a nuclear security lab. These systems are managed by the Coral team, and Coral is collaboration of Oak Ridge, Argonne, and Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories. This was established last year to leverage these supercomputing investments and reduce costs while developing these unprecedented supercomputers. And the lab directors of those 3 labs are here, if you want to acknowledge yourselves. Tom Mason from Oak Ridge, Bill Goldstein from Livermore, and Peter Littlewood from Argonne. And Oak Ridge's new system, Summit, will provide at least 5 times the performance of the lab's current system. Livermore's new computer, called Sierra, will deliver at least 7 times its current capabilities. And Argonne is still in the formative stage, and they will be announcing their specific Coral Award at a later time. Also want to acknowledge the private sector partners in Coral, and raise your hands: IBM, NVIDIA, Mellanox, and then later I'm going to mention some other companies for the second part of the program. So again, we're very excited about this, and I want to say that also the work with the companies is also something that in the 90s, as we started on this journey, was part and parcel of what we are doing. We can't do it without that work together. Now, today we're going to announce an additional $100 million in funding to further develop extreme scale supercomputing, the next generation beyond Coral. This is not the end of the journey. We're going to the next level, the so-called exascale level, over the next decade, and it requires the partnership of all that I have mentioned already. Yeah. This investment is through what I call Fast Forward 2, which is again working with American companies to develop critical technologies to deliver affordable, energy efficient, advanced extreme scale computing research and development. I should say the 150 petaflop scale of the 2 investments we're making today. We're talking about getting 5 to 7 times in computing speed, but we're also talking about doing that with, say, maybe only 10% more energy requirement. That is critical as we are going up, because we're talking beyond 10 megawatts for a single computer already. So we need to keep working on many fronts, including energy efficiency. So this is basically where we are going. I won't go through all the examples of what this program has already meant. That is the high-performance computing push. We already talked about it being central to our success in the weapons program without testing. But we could go through what it's meant for science, including climate modeling, including combustion, understanding combustion, designing efficient engineered systems with industry. Highly efficient engines, super truck. One of the contributions to getting a 60% energy reduction in Class 8 vehicles has come from modeling the aerodynamics. So this is really critical. And just an ending, I should have noted also in Fast Forward 2. Again, as I said, it's with industry. And in addition to IBM and NVIDIA, who I already referred to, we have Cray, Intel, and AMD. Anyone from AMD? I guess not. Okay, they're still part of the program. Anyway, so that's really what I wanted to say. We are going to see enormously important contributions again across the science, energy, and nuclear security activities of the department. Once again, we could not do it without the support of these and other key members of Congress who support the labs, and more importantly, in my view, support the American science enterprise, that it remains the driver of innovation, economic development, and security in this country. So thank you.
Thanks, Ernie. Just a brief reaction, and then I'll introduce Congressman Fleischman. This announcement means, I hope, that once again the world's fastest computers in the United States and in Tennessee will at least try to say, once again, it's in Oak Ridge. But I think, as Secretary Moniz made clear, the important thing is not only the speed of the computer, but it's the fact that we use it better. And I, especially as a member of Congress, like to see the cooperation between the three laboratories and combining our resources rather than just competing with them. We're not competing with each other on this. We're working together to try to make this the place in the world where we do the best supercomputing, and it takes very fast supercomputers to do that. As the Secretary said, this is the result of 6 years of this administration working closely with Democrats and Republicans in Congress to put a priority on supercomputing. We have a new initiative. We double funding. We've regained the lead. And if I have the privilege of being the chairman of the Energy and Water Appropriations Subcommittee in the new Congress, which I expect to be, I intend to keep that priority there as best I can. We've learned a lot about the value of these supercomputing techniques to everyday life in the United States. It's not just maintaining our nuclear weapons deterrent. It's not just weather forecasting. It could be using the supercomputers to find fraud and abuse in the Medicare system, for example. We are finding out in Tennessee, we're a center for advanced manufacturing, have lots of auto industry. Beretta moves in, many companies move in, and they're finding that if they go to our national laboratories, I'm sure is true in the other laboratories, that the combination of materials research and supercomputing helps advanced manufacturing in the United States, so we can make in the United States what we sell here and what we sell around the world. That means more jobs. So this is a focus that, this is an exotic sounding term, but it has an everyday impact to our national defense, our health, and also the level of family incomes we have from good jobs. So I thank the Secretary for his priority. If he'll keep his priority there, I'll keep my priority there. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Congressman Chuck Fleischman. Chuck Fleischman is from Chattanooga. He's a member of the Energy and Water Appropriations Subcommittee in the Congress, and he will be crucial in maintaining the priority for supercomputing as we move ahead and try to maintain our position. Congressman.